Okie dokie, folks. This is Coach Mike. I'm going to get started with the focus group video for the upcoming week. Um, you'll have the focus group spreadsheet as well, which goes along with this video. First off, I do want to say, when I reviewed some of the stocks like on the weekly chart, even though we had like a really decent Thursday and then Friday, the gap up that pretty much went sideways after the gap up. When I look at one like Apple, I still see like on the weekly candle a lower low, lower high, kind of an evening star type setup, which has me a little bit baffled. But at the same time, I still think there is some premise for some halfway decent trades. I'm not looking to take these early on Monday. I want to tell you that much right now, but they're ones that I do feel is possibility. The first one I have on the list is the 619 135 calls. If we can hold our low of 123.36, which I know it's $4 off of that right now, then it gives me this 136.27 target area that was used off of this low, high, and then this low for a Fibonacci projection. Looking at that, that would be a swing to me worth making. I might not do it with a full position for the June 19th 135 calls. I might just buy one of them instead of two of them, simply because I do have a little bit in question on this trade. The second one is actually for the July monthly 140 calls. And, just looking at this last little move up on the last earnings, this low, high, low, that 150.33 area, which I do already have a June 140 calls play that went down a little bit, but we were able to make up a little bit of it on some puts. But looking at it overall, I guess what I'm getting at is if this is an evening star, then we'll continue downwards, and we'll continue downwards quickly starting Monday. And if it's just something we could ignore, then we should continue what the daily chart had showed us and get us in those potential trades. The other one that I really, really like for Apple, though, is off the daily chart. You know, it involves it having a pretty strong day, breaking this green line I have right here, and entering a daily 50-50 trade on the 619 135 calls. Now, I might actually choose to do that instead of taking that trade from the weekly. So just kind of be ready in case you see an alert that comes for the 135 calls that actually mentions it as a 50-50 trade. Finally, here on the 60-minute chart, we are still making lower lows and lower highs on the 60-minute chart. My Fibonacci's gave me a 129.35 projection, and quite literally for a 50-50 trade off of the 60-minute chart, what I would either need to see is it go up to this red line and pull back from it, or come down to this green line and rise above it. And those would be really the only 2 points that I'd be interested in the 50-50 trade. GS is another story though. Kind of looking how it finished up for the week. Before I had this 203.73 target area, and I sold calls like the day before the earnings, and then it dropped just a little bit. Still didn't give up that prior swing high though, and made a positive move for a higher weekly close this past week. That's the reality of what it did. For me, I still have one remaining 619.205 call. And then I do have the two puts plays. Remember, I sold one for profit and then took a much cheaper put the other day, which I'm okay with that because if we do make some continuation upwards, I'll actually buy the 717 210 call. But what I want to do, if you look on the spreadsheet, it says greater than 204. I want to make sure it's going to break this first Fibonacci target, which even though we came just shy of it, in the pre-market on earnings day, it did get to that 203.73, so I'm not sure if we need to exclude that yet or not. But basically, by letting it get to 204, I want to break that prior Fibonacci target and then be looking at a swing up to this 218.87 before the next earnings. And we know that, the July monthlies will expire like right into the earnings time, so we can use a earnings run up if it's going to give us that and sell it right before the earnings. The other trade that I'm looking at on GS kind of comes off this daily chart. You see you had this consolidation, and Friday closed above the consolidation. What I want to see here, though, is that we close above this 201.10, which is the highest daily close. If we close above the 201.10, I might actually buy back that 619.205 call I sold for just a little bit more than what I sold it for to trade it up to this 211.86 target. Good risk to reward on that side of that. So, with the gap up on Friday, it'll be interesting to see if it continues into the upcoming week. And if so, we just got to be ready to trade it. So, just a few trades that I have to put out for the spreadsheet for the focus group, but I'm really pleased with getting back on track like we have, and pleased with continuing into the future of trading the focus group.